Hi, how are you? It's Matt Watson here from carwow. I'm sat in the new Audi RS e-tron GT. It's essentially Audi's version of the Porsche Taycan, and I'm going to see how quick it is over the standing quarter mile and to 60 miles an hour using my specialist timing gear up here. Now, if you think this car looks a little bit odd, it's because it's a pre-production car. It's still a little bit secret. I can't show you the interior of it. The outside is covered in some stickers, so you can't make the full outline of the car out. But I am allowed to drive it and I am allowed to launch it, so that's what we're going to do. See how quick it is. Is it as quick as a normal internal combustion engined RS car? We're going to find out. But before we do, please make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon to turn your notifications on. That way you will not miss a single upload. Anyway, let's get on with this video, shall we? Now, before we crack on with this launch, I think it's only wise to tell you a bit more about this car and have a good look around it. So we'll come back to the launch a little later on. Sorry to tease you, but it will be worth it. Let's talk about the e-tron GT's design. Now, I know it's all covered in stickers, but you can still get a good idea of what it looks like. The car is actually wider and lower than an RS7, though it's about the same length. Here at the front, you've got the classic Audi grille, though most of it is filled in. There's only a few vents here and here we've got the sensors for all the driving aids. There's some more vents here which cool the electrical system, and they can shut off when it doesn't need cooling to reduce the drag. I don't know if you can see this, but the shape of the bonnet is really cool. It's very interesting. Down the sides there's some more vents, and usually for Audi they're not fake. They actually smooth airflow over the wheels, which brings me on to the design of them. The way they're flat, once again, help reduce drag, improves your efficiency. There's some more vents here. They're real as well. What's going on? And down the sides, you've got this strong crease and very sloping roofline, even though this is a four-door. This roof is carbon, though as standard you get a glass roof. Now, moving to the back, you'll notice these muscular haunches. I really like the look of this car, even with this silly patchwork stickers on it. Then at the back you have a spoiler, so it's active and it pops up at 50 miles an hour, and the height it pops up to is determined by what driving mode you're in. So it goes a bit low for in comfort and a bit higher for more downforce if you're in dynamic mode. Speaking of which, down here we have a diffuser, and Audi assures me that's not fake either. It actually does help smooth the airflow over this car. It's got a flat underfloor as well, once again for reducing drag, and they say that this is more aerodynamic than an RS7, and there's nothing on this in terms of vents or shapes or anything like that that doesn't serve a purpose. So none of you use your styling nonsense. You probably noticed this. One of my favourite features of the car, this rear light bar. In fact, the lighting system on this is very, very cool, but to really appreciate it, we need total darkness. That's better. Now, being an Audi, you don't just have lights, you have lights that dance. So when you unlock the car, the taillights do this. Ooh, cool. And then when you lock it, they'll do another little dance. And now for the fronts. Unlock. And lock. Not so impressive. While it's dark, Audi thought it'd be a good idea for them to demonstrate this car's dynamic capabilities by driving me round some Gymkhana course. My driver's Mattus. While he's doing that, I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone and give you all the technical details on this car. So go on, Mattus, do whatever you need to do.
Okay.
Yep. Oh God. Right. Okay. So you've got two electric motors, one at the front, one at the back. Combined, they produce 600 horsepower. There is a overboost mode for 2 seconds when you launch the car, which will give you 650 horsepower. You also have 850 newton meter torque, which is available instantly. Right, where am I? Oh wait, this thing weighs about 2.3 tons, though it doesn't feel like it when he's driving it. The car has a 2-speed gearbox, so first gear is operated up to 50 miles an hour, which helps with the launch. And then you have second gear after that. 0 to 60 takes 3.5 seconds. And you've got a 93 kilowatt hour battery. Oh my God. Oh, and it's got a limited slip differential at the rear, which allows him to slide it. I hate you. Now let's talk about the interior design of this e-tron GT. So being an electric car, sustainability is important, and that's why lots of recycled materials are used throughout the cabin. For instance, the dash and the centre console, they are trimmed from old trousers. Then on the door tops, you've got recycled bandages from the local hospital, all very eco-friendly. Obviously that's all nonsense. This is just a covering material, so you can't see what the interior of this car looks like yet, because there'll be a big reveal later on in the year. What I can show you is the steering wheel, which is very RS-like, though it is missing the RS button that you get on the very latest RS cars. There's some new RS seats, which I can confirm are comfy and supportive. But I can't show you anything else, I'm afraid. Though I want to see what it looks like. So maybe I can just uncover this and you can see my reaction and get an idea of what it's like. So if you don't mind just moving just over there, and I'm going to uncover this car and have a look. All right. Oh no. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, that's just awful. What have Audi done? If you think that BMW has dropped the ball with its new grille, then wait till you see Audi's latest interior. Shocking. I'm joking. Or am I? Here in the back seats, while knee room is pretty good, the footwells do seem a little bit cramped. Also, if I sit up straight and back, my head does touch the roof. That's because it's sloping quite a bit. However, I'd probably travel like that with a bit of a slouch on, though someone over 6 foot will struggle. The e-tron GT obviously has a boot, but that's still secret, so I can't show you or tell you the capacity just yet. It's a clearly automated tailgate though. It also has a front boot. But that's also secret. Okay, finally we come to the time when I'm going to launch this Audi RS GT e-tron. As a benchmark, I've actually done an 11.4 seconds standing quarter mile in an Audi RS7 and an 11.3 out of an Audi RS6. Can this e-tron GT beat those times? Let's do it. Left foot on the brake, floor the throttle. That's it. Then I'll just release the brake. Here we go. Oh gosh, that shut off. Oh, you can feel the gear change quite noticeably. Here comes the end of the standing quarter mile. What we got? Oh yes! We did a 10.94 standing quarter mile time, so quicker than any other 4-seater RS car I've driven, and a 0 to 60 of 2.88 seconds. Audi claims, oh, it'll do it in under 3.5 seconds. Too right it will. Not as quick as a Porsche Taycan Turbo S, but still pretty darn rapid. What I've done now is set up an interval where I can measure the speed between 30 and 70 miles an hour. So imagine you're just crawling onto a motorway slip road, then you suddenly need to accelerate up to the national speed limit. I'll show you how quickly this car can do it. So I'll just tootle along. Just below 30, and then I'll floor it. So here we go, just below 30. I'm going to floor it. 3, 2, 1. Christ. So it went from 30 miles an hour to 70 miles an hour in just 2.72 seconds. I think that would be pretty handy for overtaking, don't you? That's my favourite bit actually, that. Whoa! 2.71 seconds this time. Let's see if we can do better. 2.70 seconds. Doesn't get boring. There's one last thing I forgot to do, and that's a brake test. So I'm going to do it from 70 miles an hour. Let's see what happens. It's got to do better than 50 metres. Oh! There we go, we got it. It stopped from 70 miles an hour in 46 metres. That's not too bad. Let's see what this e-tron GT is like to drive on the road. So I'm in comfort mode now. So that means the suspension is slackened off, and it's got 3-chamber air suspension. And it goes over bumps pretty well. It's quite comfy, relaxing. Seeing as this road is going to get twisty, I'm going to put the car into dynamic, but I've got to fish around under all the shrouding here to get it into the right mode. There we go, in dynamic now. So that's sharpened the throttle response, added a bit of weight to the steering, and stiffened at the suspension, but it's still going over the bumps all right. Let's see what it's like when I chuck it into a corner. Hopefully it won't topple over. It's not a light car. With all the batteries low down in the floor, it means that the centre of gravity is low. It does all right, you know. Obviously you've got 4-wheel drive traction and that instant throttle response, so it really can get a move on. You've got to remember, it's not an outright sports car, it's a GT car, but it's driving really well. I can't actually believe it weighs 2.3 tonnes. A lot of this car is actually very similar to the Porsche Taycan, but Audi set it up differently. So the steering, the suspension setup. What it doesn't have that the Taycan has is the active anti-roll stabilisation, but hooning it down these roads, it doesn't feel like it necessarily needs it. Obviously you've got rear wheel steering as well, which gives you a little bit more control when you're doing fast flowing high speed turns, because then you have the rear wheels turning in the same direction as the front wheels, and then when you're in town they turn in the opposite direction to make the car more manoeuvrable so you don't get stuck in tight places. One of the good things about electric cars is that when you're slowing down, you're actually using the motor in reverse to recoup lost energy and put it back in the battery. Now with this e-tron GT, when you touch the brake pedal, the first bit of braking actually does that, so you're not using the friction brakes and wasting energy. But then as you push the pedal harder, the friction brakes start to engage, and they've done a really good job of just blending that together so you don't notice any change throughout the brake pedal. They're very good at this actually. You have it in the normal e-tron and it just works quite seamlessly. One thing to note though, when you are going fast and you just want to feather the brakes, say to get the nose turning in, it's not quite as natural feeling as on a normal RS car when you don't have that regen effect. Just a little bit artificial feeling. Most people won't notice that, but motoring journalists who have to justify their existence, like me, will. Audi has worked to develop a sound for this car, and you can pay a bit extra to have speakers in the back and a speaker out of the back bumper, which creates a noise for the car. And it's not like any kind of fake car noise, it's like a futuristic noise that has been developed by a sound specialist and a computer nerd, and it's a bit odd. It's like woo. It's a bit like the sound you have in a horror film when something bad's about to happen. But it does create an atmosphere when you're driving it. Do I like it? I sort of think it works. I don't want to like it. I don't like fake noises in cars, but it does just work. Now, we're just experiencing going through town. We're in roads. It's pretty narrow in terms of the street, and this is a wide car. And I don't know if I can get through it. I don't want to scrape it. Mate, you could have had a go. You're in some old battered Hilux. I'm in a brand new Audi prototype. Yeah, we're all right. Good. Let's continue. Speaking of sound, when you're just cruising along, it's a quiet car to travel in. There's no internal combustion engines whirring away. Soundproofing's good. This one's got double glazing. It's all very relaxing to travel in. There is one thing to think about, and that's charging. You see, the charging infrastructure where we are here on the Greek island of Rhodes isn't great. And this car has a 93 kilowatt hour battery, which will take an age to charge if you have to do it from a normal 3-pin socket. However, it is capable of charging at 350 kilowatts, if you can find a 350 kilowatt charger, that is. If you can charge it from 0%, so empty, to 80% full in just 20 minutes apparently, which is rapid. I mean, it takes me that long to have a piss. As for the range, well, Audi says it will do 250 miles on a full charge, which is okay. It's going to be more than enough for people's commutes, and you should be able to do some long distance drives without too much worry. But it is down compared to the range you can get out of a Tesla Model S. Tesla is still leading the way when it comes to the range that you can get out of an electric car. One more thing to tell you, the price. So for the normal Audi version, you're going to be looking around £100,000, whereas for this RS model, £130,000, and it'll be on sale from spring 2021. So then, what's my final verdict on the new Audi RS e-tron GT? Well, seeing as this is a pre-production car, I'm not going to do the usual avoid it, consider it, shortlist it, or go right ahead and buy it. But what I will tell you is that from what I've experienced of it so far, it's got the performance, I think it's got the looks, and it's good to drive. So Audi's first ever electric RS car should be a winner. And now let's see that from the front. Unlock. You I've got to go in the car, turn it on, turn it off again, and then it'll do it. Bear with me. Walk me home lights, 30 seconds. don't click out the video. It's going to be really interesting. Piss off. Right, okay.